As is now all over the news, there was a horrific bomb attack on a hospital in the Gaza City yesterday that has left an unknown number of survivors of survivors. There are many people have been killed. We don't know the number. There's been all kinds of reports all over the map of there could be someone said as many as 800, but maybe there's only 500, or maybe there was only a few dozen. So who knows the actual number? But we do know that there were many people killed. Now, the question is, where did the rocket come from? Now, because of so many things that were going on in the Gaza Strip at the time and really heavy Israeli bombardment, the first assumption was that it was an Israeli defense forces and they had launched a rocket that hit actually the parking lot of the hospital. It didn't hit the hospital itself. But then forensics started coming back later, where first of all, Israel produced a bunch of information, some maps, and some other things that said no, it actually was not one of our missiles. Of course, the Hamas said we didn't fire any missiles, so of course it wasn't us. It was definitely Israel, and so people were kind of left wondering what was going on. In the immediate aftermath, it was very unclear what had happened or who had launched it, as the focus was on the human cost of it, because no matter who launched it, it was the Palestinian people, the people who are fleeing for their lives, who paid the price. And that's what most of our focus has been on here at the Deep Dive, is on the human casualties regardless of who launched it. But it is important to understand who did, because there could be some ramifications one way or the other. Now, just last night, on his way back from Israel, President Biden was asked aboard Air Force One what he thought, and here's what he said.
People all over the region are upset about the hospital and don't necessarily believe you or the Israelis that they didn't have anything to do with it. Do you have a message to the people in the streets right now?
Well, I can understand why in this circumstance they wouldn't believe. I can understand that. But I would not, you notice I don't say things like that unless I have faith in the source from which I've gotten them. Our Defense Department says it's highly unlikely that it was Israelis, but if a different footprint, and they've intercepted some anyway. So that's why, if you notice, I didn't say it first. I wanted to make sure that I knew. And look, and I'm not suggesting that Hamas deliberately did it either. It's that old thing, got to know how to shoot straight, and it's not the first time Hamas has launched something that didn't function very well. So I don't know all the detail, but I do know the people at the Defense Department who I respect, and the intelligence community that I respect. It's highly improbable that Israel did that.
Now, on this channel, we don't hesitate calling anybody out when they're saying something that's untrue or inaccurate, or if they're making decisions that are not good for the United States. And we always tell you why. It's never personal. But also when somebody says something that's right, we also give them credit for that. And as best I can assess, and I'm going to tell you why I make that assessment, the president is right on this one. It does not appear that it was an Israeli strike. What it appears is that it's a Hamas rocket that probably, or a Palestinian Islamic Jihad, to be specific, rocket that either malfunctioned or simply misfired and landed in the parking lot of that hospital. And I'll tell you why. Gary, if you can play that roll, that shot we have of the hospital parking lot. I wonder if you could pull that up, because what you're going to see in there is it's panning around, and you see the impact zone. You see the burnt out cars. And you see, just charred remains on, but what you don't see is a crater on the ground. And that's important because the Israeli missiles and bombs are very large, and all of them leave a very sizable crater. And the fact that there's not one here indicates that the yield of the warhead that hit was very small. It's the size of probably something close to an 82 millimeter mortar is what some of my military expert friends have told me. And I actually sought out somebody who has a lot of forensic knowledge on impact zones in the military, and another friend of mine who is a former CIA officer. And both of them are this similar, that this is almost certainly a Hamas rocket that, or a Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket that went off course, or possibly even was hit with an Iron Dome and penetrated down. And the reason you saw this huge fireball is not because of the warhead size, but because the rocket still had all of its rocket motor engine and all of the fuel that it uses to go. So most of that was the fuel exploding, and that's why there was such a big fireball, but not much physical damage on the ground. When you also look at where there was some of the footage that Israel provided that said, here is a video of a Hamas rocket barrage that was going up, and then you see a few seconds later the explosion over the hospital, that does give evidence that it was in fact a Hamas misfire. Now, look, again, as we keep reiterating, for the people who got killed, it doesn't matter. But this just shows the horrific nature of war, that, you have two sides trying to fight each other, and Israel, in their zeal to get justice for their people, have been firing lots of missiles and bombs that are of questionable tactical value and have caused a great deal of human suffering that actually was caused. And that's one of the reasons why there's so much anger in the Arab world, is because even aside from this one, there has been, I believe it's close to 2,500 deaths so far of the civilian population within the Gaza Strip. And that's causing lots of angst among the people in the Arab world. So some of them aren't even so worried about whether it was or wasn't Israel here, but on the casualties that this keeps causing. Now, President Biden also said that he has worked out a deal to where Israel will finally allow the gate, the Rafah gate, to be open leading into Egypt, so that some of that humanitarian supplies can get in. And that's certainly a good start. But we have to understand that, look, the situation going on right now is that there has been no food, no water for days now, for well over a week. And the civil population is starting to, become at risk for literal starvation or dying of thirst. There's just not enough water to go around. So they need to get that stuff in there fast. That needs to be a priority. President Biden had lots of trouble getting anything of any substance diplomatically done, either from the Egyptians, Saudis, or the Jordanian, or even the Israeli side for that matter. So at least if he can get this corridor open to where they can get more supplies for the people and any more protections for the people, that is a good thing, and something that America is supposed to do. We stand for the rights of individuals, and we stand for peace and freedom. And those are the things that we stand for. We have to mean it all the time, not just when it's convenient. And that means the Palestinian people, who are victimized of all sides in this war. And we need to do everything possible to prevent that and to stop what has been going on here. Israel has a right to defend itself. Hamas terrorists slaughtered lots of Israeli people, and they must pay for that. No one questions that, and I don't either. But it can't come at the wanton expense of the Palestinian people, and much more has to be done to make sure that happens. And I hope President Biden continues to do that in the future. We're going to keep you updated if we get any more information. Be sure to like and share this with your friend, because again, we're giving you information you're not getting anywhere else. We continue to do that for you. We're looking out for you. We'll see you on the next episode. Daniel Davis Deep Dive.